definition of customer demand is. So I think that's is the end of the poll in a few seconds now. Let me quickly introduce the upcoming panel or topic on media in a few moments. No, just in a moment. Let me pause. Okay, I've actually just been told by the team that the next session is coming up in a few minutes now as we're lining up the speakers, but let me use the opportunity to introduce the next topic, which will be focused on media. And the topic will be on the rise of the content creator economy on media. This will also have a Q&A at the end of it. And reason why this topic is really important and why it was picked in this year's TEES is because as much as we are seeing this continuous existence of digital media, even the traditional media companies going all digital on YouTube and other multiple platforms, we are seeing content creators also becoming media houses of their own. And what does this mean? So it means, imagine you have one of the biggest media companies like CNN, for instance, existing as a traditional media. You, at the same time, will likely have an individual called John Smith, for instance. But John Smith speaks more on topics regarding politics, governments, and stuff like that, basically. So what happens is that this John Smith becomes a content creator focused on those topics. He tends to, in this day and age, tends to have better or more following and engagements compared to the traditional media. And so what this means is that gradually individuals or personal brands are becoming their own media companies. And we see with so many different personal brands and individuals that create content. And this is why this topic was very important for us to have in the lineup of activities for today, which is that in the future and near future, what we are seeing is that individuals are becoming their own media companies, depending on, of course, where they focus their niche or where they focus their brand on, whether it's politics, whether it's entertainment, whether it's sports, whether it's gaming, whether it's education or business, entrepreneurship, and etc. Individuals more and more in the content creator economy are becoming their own media companies. And this is what we're going to explore in this topic. And if the trend is going consistently as we see it going, it means in the next 5 years or 10 years, you potentially as the audience can have your own media companies on your own in different multiple platforms, digital platforms that exist around the world or around the internet. So for the topic on this, we'll be having two individuals or experts and experienced persons in the space of media. One is Ms. Anna Macko, who is the co-founder of MyMedic agency. And of course, she's very well experienced around the world and creating content and engaging with so many different media companies where she is, and as I said, in other parts of the world. And then we also have Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye. He is the business reporter for West Africa for CNBC Africa, which is one of the big traditional media companies that exists, not just in Africa, but of course, also there are different versions of this company that exists outside of the continent. So they are going to be coming up in a little bit. While we wait for them, we can just take a pause now, take a breather, and don't forget, actually, right after this, we'll have the final session as far as the discussion topics, which will be on finance. And after finance is where we have one of the exciting segments of today, where there are about 10 in particular, specifically 10 entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs that will be pitching their business ideas for investment. And the investment is very generous, if I can say that, worth 25,000 USD in our accelerator program and so many other different packages that come with it. And this year, we, as a progress from last year, we had applications from so many different locations, from Togo, Nigeria, of course, Egypt, Zimbabwe, Ghana, and so many other locations. I'm trying to remember all of them because there were so many, but we had to shortlist only 10. In fact, actually, to let you guys know, we only were going to shortlist 2. I mean, only top 3 were going to be the winners, and we're going to shortlist 5 in general. But as a result of so many great ideas we saw, we ended up having 10 shortlisted to present today. And so it's something that we're very much looking forward to seeing how they perform. And it's not only they that will win their awards today. We're also going to have an entrepreneurial thinking game where the general audience, you all will get to participate also and win an award of your own, so that everybody goes, of course, potentially with something home today. I see Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye here. Will soon be lining up the session on media. Mr. Macko will also be here. And it will be the topic on the content creator economy, or specifically the rise of the content creator economy. So we'll explore all the opportunities, challenges, and whether really my theory that I mentioned earlier is correct or not, meaning the theory of having content creators or individual media platforms on platforms like YouTube, now Twitter, and etc., versus the traditional media companies that exist on the cable TV and etc. But even they actually have made transition into the social digital media space like YouTube and the rest of them. And now what exists, as I said, it's like a battle between the two, where on one hand you have big conglomerates like the CNNs and the rest, and then on the other hand you have individuals that specialize on niche topics, on politics, entrepreneurship, entertainment, sports, etc. So this is what we're going to be exploring, and I will take a pause now while we await the guests to join. I think we're about to spotlight them. So let me quickly just give a mention on their profile again. Ms. Macko, she's the co-founder of MyMedic agency. Sorry, I actually said my media agency earlier. Correction, MyMedic agency. And just like the others, her LinkedIn page and where you can be able to access her website and every other media work and business that she does, you'll be able to access and have more insight into it. And then the second person will be Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye. He's the business reporter, West Africa for CNBC Africa. So They will be coming up in a little bit now, discussing the content creator economy. We'll see opportunities in it. Are there threats, challenges, and if at all, it's going to grow in the near future? What happens to the traditional media companies like the CNNs and the rest, as I said? So we'll be exploring all of that. But in the meantime, I will pause here while you can take a breather, refresh, and etc. And we'll come back in about 2 minutes or so. See you then. Okay, I think we are about to begin now the panel on media. If we can, are we spotlighted? Yeah, we are spotlighted. Welcome, Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, pleasure having you here. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. We're expecting Ms. Macko, who is the co-founder of MyMedic agency. So once she joins, she'll be queued in by the team. Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye, he is a business reporter for West Africa, CNBC Africa. Of course, as I hinted earlier, it's one of the more traditional but big media companies that exist in the continent, but also with other versions of it around the world. So it will be very interesting to see how you, or your views from your experiences and what you see progressing in the next 5 years or so, or 10 years, as far as the content creator economy is concerned. Because as you know, for the past few years, past 10 years or so, I think, when the social media platforms like the YouTubes, the Facebooks, Instagrams, and etc., it's created personal brands and people almost becoming their own media companies as individuals in different fields. So this is something that I think it would be good to see from your perspective. And if at all, is there an opportunity? Is it a threat, or can both sides collaboratively exist within the digital space? So welcome, Mr. Akinkunmi.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So let me go into it. Yeah, Miss Anna is in a different location, but yeah, once she joins, I'll just introduce her so that we don't waste too much time. As always, of course, with the different other panels, the audience, you can get to send in your questions either here on Zoom or on LinkedIn Live, where most of the other participants are, as well as Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So, Mr. Akinkunmi, first question that I'll ask is the content creator economy here to stay? I know it exists, but to what extent is it here to stay? And is it, or should we say it's a bubble that is like soon going to burst, or is it just a hype that exists right now?
Thank you very much. To be very honest, I mean, the content creator economy is here to stay. Let me put it in that word succinctly, and of importance. And I try to explain it in this way. Right. Let's look at the fintech space, and let's look at what's happening with banks. It's very clear. We've had the brick and mortar way of doing things, and now we have fintechs coming up with solutions that are, I mean, from the comfort of your home, you can do whatever it is you want to do. And then the question is, will they survive? I mean, look at how far they've come. And then the disruption in that space is massive. Same goes with the content creator economy. We're seeing different things. I mean, the fact that the content creator economy can solve DIYs is enough reasons why I strongly believe that it will stay for a very long time, and it's going to cause a lot of disruptions because, first of all, I mean, if you can't sew, all you need to do is go to YouTube or go to TikTok, watch a video of a content creator who's a stylist, and then, wow, you've solved the problem there yourself. And one of the things that I believe strongly about the content creator economy, when compared with the broadcast media or the regular media, is that it would help to transition the way we watch news, the way we perceive information, the way we share content. More importantly, let's take, for example, now, like what happened recently, globally, looking at the Russia-Ukraine war, also looking at the Israel-Hamas crisis as well. We've seen a narrative being shaped, right? And what is important is that for those of us who are not within that space, we have a vivid idea of what's happening there. Now, there are some images there, some information that we can't get from, the regular media platforms. I mean, looking at when it was still heated, I mean, it was, I think, Al Jazeera crew who were just under where a missile was launched. So it helps to give us first-hand information regarding things. Is this a threat to the regular media? I would say yes, it is a threat, because threat in a good way, because it now gives them the opportunity to think outside the box. It gives them the opportunity to do things beyond what they used to do. I mean, we know that news is always on the hour, right? 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 1, 6, 9 p.m. And then you realize that somebody somewhere who's a content creator who aggregates news from social media has beat you to your breaking news. So it's no longer being the first in breaking news right now, but actually providing credible information. So I think the regular media houses can actually carve a niche for themselves. You don't have to compete with social media in terms of disseminating information first, but actually looking at how you can push out credibility, because you have the resources to provide that kind of content. And also, one other thing that I always like to look at when having this discussion is the fact that, a lot of people think content creation is all about skit making. You have vlogs, you have people who provide, let's even look at podcasts, for example. Now, you have people who provide information on a first-hand basis, right? Now, from fashion, art, entertainment, music, name it, health. Look at what happened during COVID. A lot of people we had a lot of mysteries out there. People didn't give adequate information. A lot of doctors were quiet about what to do because a lot of people didn't know, And then you're seeing the cases of videos going around, during the time of COVID. It was not pleasing to see, but at the same time, it helped us prepare mentally on what to expect, how to prevent these things. So yes, it goes a long way, and I believe that if we begin to appreciate the role of the content creator, look at the market. It's huge, billions of dollars globally. And then look at Africa now. Look at our population, the youthful population, it's massive. And a lot of people see that, I mean, you can just pick up your phone and then you can do a skit, and then that makes you a content creator. And then also, let's look at the area of employment right now. A lot of people who don't have regular jobs right now find themselves, you have an Android phone, and then you have, a ring light, and then you can do what you want to do. But going into that economy, you need to be you need to take that painstaking effort. You need to be deliberate about it. Why am I saying this? For example, I can decide to be a content creator now. I could decide to say, what, I want to teach early journalists, the ABCs of journalism, right? And then I would have subscribers, right? I will have people who would be interested, will ask questions. But if I don't commit to it, how would I be able to serve that market? Also, resources. Do I want to do it with all the aesthetics, carve out a studio in my living room, right? Get high-end equipment, invest in equipment, and then also importantly is, knowing what to say, which a lot of people don't even realize that being a content creator, one of your primary goals is to ensure that you have enough content that will serve you. Let's take, for example, let's see the likes of Charlie Chaplin, if you know him in the 90s, who was a comic actor. Yes. Charlie Chaplin didn't have to say anything. His actions, his gesticulations, everything would make you laugh, would roll on the floor, right? But it took research. It took research. It took years of practice. You can't just pick up your phone and say, you know what, I want to be a content creator. Okay, I'm in this space, then I can do this within your space. A lot of them go as far as doing surveys, researches, to ensure that they are providing the adequate and relevant information and ensuring that they have a demographic where they are meeting with. We know the population in Africa. We know the issue with unemployment in Africa. It's really, really disturbing, but it still doesn't mean that every person can decide to say, you know what, let me pick up my phone and go into the content creator economy. Sometimes a lot of them even get fizzled out with social media. A lot of people coming on board with flashy cars, flashy houses. A lot of these things are not real. Let's not allow ourselves to be deceived by social media. A lot of these things are rented because it's a way of getting the appeal. It's a way of getting that thing. Let me give myself my journey as my journey as an example here. I was when Facebook, Meta now, started the Facebook bootcamp for content creators. I was opportuned to be a part of the pioneer participant, and it was mind-opening. A lot of things that we didn't even know. We were just doing it out of the idea of doing it, but going for trainings like that would help expose you to opportunities that are inherent. I mean, let's take, for example, Mark Angel now. He was part of that training at that time. And when I heard about his net worth, how much YouTube and Facebook pay him, for the views he gets on his content, it's mind-boggling. I would have eagerly said, you know what, I'm going in. I need to make these dollars, right? But it goes beyond that. That training exposed a lot of us into the rudiments in being a content creator, from fashion, healthcare, name it, and of importance is the fact that we need to know where our strength lies and where our weaknesses. Take, for example, your ability, to pass a narrative is not clear. It's important that you need to polish that side. Your knowledge about grammar is also very important. How you hope to deliver this information is either you make it more of gestures and less vocabularies, or you want to make it a case of what language do I need to deliver it? Am I speaking Yoruba? Am I speaking Igbo? Am I speaking Cantonese? Name it how you want to. And then that this also limits your audience. If, for example, you're doing it in English, how well would you thrive in non-English countries or non-English states? So there are a lot of things that content creators need to put into perspective before picking up their phone and going into that space.
Yeah, indeed. I think that was very packed, actually, and it's almost it's made me look at the other questions that are even outside of the questions I was thinking of saying, actually, or providing or putting to you, which is, you did mention in terms of, it's not just you saying or creating content, but also the way in which you present the content matters, right? And then your audience also matters, right? But it makes me now want to think or ask the question regarding the substance versus the form of content. Now, I don't know, what in terms of your experience, not just in the main big platform that you are in CNBC, but also what you see with the individual content creators. To what extent does substance matter versus the form, or is it vice versa? Which one really matters the most in terms of viewership, but also capturing that audience that you are looking for? and passing the message that you are trying to pass in these multiple platforms that exist?
Well, thank you very much for that. I think they go vis-a-vis. I think you're looking at form, you're looking at substance. I mean, it's let me use this example. I love to give illustrations very well, so it helps paint a mental picture of what to expect.
Yeah.
You prepare a soup, and then you have beef, you have fish, you have stockfish, everything. The soup is rich, right? And then just one thing spoils it. It's too salty or it's too spicy. You would have people who be interested in the fact that it's spicy, but the fact that it's salty, a lot of people would, give a side eye to that. That's one thing. That's substance, right? You've created a rich content, but just one little thing has limited you from capturing your audience. It could be your language. It could be your ability to interpret or pass that message, right? And another thing again, it could be your style. I'm a graduate of theater arts from the University of Abuja, and that also has made me understand what it means, like when it comes to providing rich content, when it comes to having, substance and form. Form, you can take any style and defend it any day. And you know what? I could say, okay, at this rate, I'm going to do a non-conventional way of doing my things. A lot of people didn't understand why Charlie Chaplin, I keep using it because he didn't have to speak to a lot of us because he understood that language was a barrier. Yeah. So he took that form. But in terms of his substance, you could see that his content was rich in different ways. That's one very practical example that we can use in this context, right? To say, you know what, your substance has to be very rich and you need to make sure that you dot your I's and you cross your T's. Let's go to the mainstream media. I always, because of my knowledge in the digital space, I had to do an aggregate of global TV brands that have gone beyond regular broadcast to taking advantage of the opportunities that social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram have. Now, a lot of them are now providing or giving contents that are appealing to the eye. You go to Vice, for example, now, back home, go to channels, you see that their social media pages with grids, with illustrations, with captions, that speak, and high quality videos, right? Now, I do an interview of about 30 minutes. I know that beyond the TV, that's where the interview dies, right? It doesn't go beyond that. Yeah. But instead, I take a caption of what the person has said and I push it on all social media platforms, and then it gets me views. Yeah. I can tell you that some big TV stations are not depending on money that comes in from adverts. A lot of them are depending on funds that come in from what Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and the likes pay them for their content and their views. So it's not primarily about form. It's about the substance you give out.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And actually, it's interesting that you put it that way, because the game that both sides are playing, whether it's the traditional media or the content creator or individual media platforms or entities, if I can call them that, whether they are vloggers or they are YouTubers. Now you hear them calling themselves YouTubers or TikTokers and etc. I think because of how much social media has grown over the past few years, the game, as I said, between the two sides, is almost looking like the individual content creators are almost like carving out the market or taking most of the market away from the traditional media, except when you look at our parents or our grandparents, they are still relying on the traditional media. And in fact, I think from what we have statistics-wise, there's over 300 million operators of individual content creator economies. So for me, if or you eventually maybe someday become the head of CNBC Africa, that would be the kind of game you would try to be winning over versus the individual creators. So for a traditional media company, what do you think? What strategies would they almost apply in order to win this game of, I'm not saying it's a competition, but they also have to exist, right? Because they have employees and they have a business to run. So to what kind of strategies do they put, or even for your own entity in CNBC Africa, that you apply in order to make sure you have a good share of that market that both you and the individual content creators are trying to acquire or playing with?
Thank you very much. You know,
Mm.
it's very, very clear that both individual content creators and big TV stations, radio, online, name it, can exist side by side, you know, and that's because we have a very big market who people don't like to read anymore. Let's be very honest with ourselves. I mean, I want to see a short 30-second clip that captures everything. I want to be able to know what's happening in the news within 1-2 minutes. I don't need to watch the entire news bulletin for 1 hour. I don't.
Yeah.
So, to your question, it's very clear. If, for example, a TV station doesn't understand the need that they need to adopt the digital space and get a market there, then there is a problem. We all see what happens. I mean, with newspaper. Some people say newspaper is reading the news of yesterday, today, right? And then you have TV stations that start operating 24 hours. So I had to wait till tomorrow to read the news of what happened today. And then you have 24/7 TV stations that on the hour, they're already telling you what happened a few minutes ago. They're already breaking the news, right? Now, that's one aspect. Now you're seeing a lot of these guys go online. You have a lot of newspapers now have their online sites where the moment the news breaks, they're also breaking. That's the way you can catch up. So you're not competing at this point in time. You're just playing catch up. And if the mainstream media at this point in time, looking at it now vis-a-vis content creator or the creator economy now, don't start playing the catch up now. It will be too late. I made an example of Vice. Vice picks videos from what goes on their TV, right? They put it online. It serves their online markets, right? The digital space. They make sure that they provide rich, appealing content. It's not hard. All you need to do is just develop the strategy. First of all, create a social media team that is knowledgeable about search engine optimization, that is knowledgeable about how we operate. Now, the way you scale your video for Instagram is different from the way you scale your video for Facebook. So you need to know that your video editors understand how it is to provide or to create this content for each of the platforms, right? Where I was before, while I worked at channels, I worked at the digital department. So these were things that we primarily owned because we felt that there was a need to own that space. If you go to channels page on all social media platforms, you will see the way the content there, the videos, even what goes on in the news is cut out and put online. So it shows that they are also thinking. It shows that there's a need for every platform. You don't just use it as a way to dump your materials there. No, but be deliberate about it, to know your demography and then play that one. So like I said, your social media team needs to be hands-on. Your video editor, non-linear editors need to understand how to create these videos that would fit in. And more importantly, which is very, very, very important, you must monetize your videos. Because if you don't monetize your videos, it will just be a library for you to keep your things. A lot of these TV stations globally, they earn a lot when it comes to royalties from YouTube, from Facebook, and the like. So those three strategies are key. They're quite a number, but I mean, once you can, these are the low-hanging fruits that you need to get. And then when you're done with that, you can now start looking at creating different kind of content, you know, the ones that appeal. If you're a 24 hours news channel, you know that you have to create your news in a minute, 2 minutes, 60 seconds. You tell your news with very appealing visuals. Now, if you're a fashion blog, you know that you need to come up with contents that within 30, 60 seconds, you've passed your message. Because the truth is that we see how we scroll reels on Instagram. You know, you've watched your video, it's not interesting in the first 10 seconds, you scroll to the next one. So if you're not deliberate about it, your videos will just keep being scrolled up.
Yeah. And yeah, that's very interesting actually, because even with the reels that you just mentioned now, we see platforms like YouTube now having YouTube Shorts, and before I even thought reels were all about what's this Snapchat, using just short videos and things. But it's like everybody now does it, and as you said, it's because the population now don't want to sit for long or read things for long content and things. Like everybody just wants to consume as in bit sizes as quick as possible, you know. And speaking of monetization, I know you did mention it briefly now for the big companies, but what if somebody is small trying to become a content creator or trying to build a personal brand and having his own individual or multiple platforms basically on YouTube and the rest of the other platforms? How do you advise them in terms of starting, but also most especially in terms of the monetization that you talked about earlier?
Yeah, I think it's really straightforward, and there's nothing hidden. It's all you need to do is, like I said, you need to be deliberate. You need to make that painstaking efforts. If this is what you want to go into, you need to be deliberate about it. You are creating content. Let's say, for example, you own a food blog, and then you're coming up with recipes, and then you're pushing your content out there. Now, first of all, you have your video. What platforms do you think that you feel your audience, you have much of your audience? Let's say, for example, Instagram and TikTok, right? Let's even put Facebook aside, Instagram and TikTok. Now, you've done your video, 2 minutes, and then everything. First of all, your subscription base you need to first of all work on your subscription base. Second of all, you need to work on your viewership. Organic. I'm sure a lot of guys who are social media guys right now would want to come for me at this. But building an organic followership is very important to your long-term goals. A lot of people come and say, no, Instagram has flagged me, Instagram has blocked me, Instagram. That's because most of the times you're violating the rules. So you need to, first of all, make sure that that area is being taken care of. And then when you put your videos, the moment some of them will say, okay, once you can have about 10,000 followers, the key metrics, that ticks one of the activities, the impressions your videos have, the number of views. Automatically, when you're even registering, at the point where you're registering, you know that you're not registering as an individual, you're registering as a content creator, which is what Facebook, Instagram, and the likes, every of what Meta manages has created. So you know that you're creating that special account for the purpose of this. So while you're registering, it asks you what do you want to do, your videos, even on LinkedIn. Fascinating. You post a video and then you see your impressions, how many views. Okay, do you want to monetize your videos? And then 2 ways of monetizing: you pay to boost your videos, or you let it grow organically. You can decide to let it grow organically because you know that the content you have put out there is rich. It would attract a lot of people and it will trend. The moment it trends, you're hitting 10,000 views and all that. Automatically, you can either write them or they write you to say, you know what, kindly give us your personal details, which you would have submitted earlier. Then they do a verification check. After that is done, then you now monetize. They could tell you, okay, you know what, we're going to pay you for every 50,000 views that your videos get, or you get, so it has a way it works across all platforms. So, but you just need to be very deliberate about what you're doing and how you want to pass the message. So monetizing comes, and then you see that a lot of them, I can remember vividly, there's this group, Ikorodu Boys. I know the money they made from royalties. There was part of what they used to buy equipment. Some people also donated to them, but it showed that their content was making an impact. It was reaching a lot of people. Macko today is one of the biggest content creators. Mr. Macaroni, one of the biggest content creator in Nigeria, and they are global because their content has gone beyond the shores of Nigeria. And most of the high-end equipments they use right now is them knowing that, you know what, the money I'm getting from this thing, I'm not using it to live a flashy life, but it's a business that I have to reinvest in. So once you're able to understand this thing, that you're going into this for the sake of, it's not about passion. About returns. It's about value.
It makes so much sense actually. And the way I asked that question is also for people that are just trying to maybe go into content creation as a form of business or job and means of livelihood. But beyond that, generally companies that exist also have to play the content creation game, right? You can't just exist as a bank or as a hotel and just be doing your business on the side and that's it. You have to produce content, especially organic content that ties to your audience and helps with your marketing, branding, and etc. So it's almost like it's a game where everybody must play, you know, and I think a lot of what you have said now hopefully would make sense to not just the different companies, businesses, or individuals that are here, but also the group of participants that, as I said, in the next part of the day, before the end of this event, will be pitching their business ideas for investment. At this point, let me just attend to some of the questions that have been sent in the chat box. I see Anirudh has sent a question. It's kind of long, but let me try to read it through as quick as possible. In the rapidly evolving landscape of content creator economy, how do you envision innovative platforms like Syntheim? I'm not aware of this platform. Syntheim. It's a platform, apparently. So how do you envision innovative platforms like Syntheim contributing to the ongoing narrative? And what strategies would you recommend for effectively navigating the intersection of credibility, monetization, and dynamic relationship between content creators and their audience? So I think this platform belongs to them, to him. Apologies, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but I assume it's a he. So he's the founder of Syntheim. Maybe you can Google it. Anirudh, if you can send a link to it, to the platform, so that Mr. Akinkunmi will be able to see it. So he basically has a platform and an innovative platform, and I think it's tied to media or some other thing. I don't know the description, but you can check it out, Mr. Akinkunmi. So
Yes,
he's asking, yeah, how do you envision innovative platforms like Syntheim contributing to the ongoing narrative? And what strategies would you recommend for effectively navigating the intersection between credibility, monetization, and dynamic relationships between content creators and their audience? After that, there's another question from Mr. Shegun Okibaye, but I don't know if you want to tackle that quick.
Okay, I think I will just take the questions all.
Okay, so the second question from Mr. Shegun Obakeye is, we are having an increasing tendency for sensational news, even when they are untrue, by content developers or content creators. So his question is, are there any deliberate plans by you guys in the mainstream media to correct and control this trend? And then there's another question. It's long. Okay. Basically, he's asking, how does content creator balance accuracy with the audience? With the urge to promote viability and engagement by posting sensational content. So it's similar to what Mr. Shegun just as on sensationalism, because of course, I know in the media space, they always want to sell headlines and things like that. And there's another question. How can businesses, especially MSMEs, utilize content creation to promote their value, influence, and profitability?
Okay.
So
I would
I know we have run out of time, but if you can also respond.
Yeah, I'll just sum up everything. Syntheim, from what I understand, is a platform, social networking platform and health platform. Yes, it's quite looking at the market. First of all, you need to know where your market is. Are you looking at Asia? Are you looking at Africa? Are you looking at Europe? Are you looking at the Americas? First of all, you need to understand where your market is. You need to know where there is the need for your market. For example, let me use, for example, now Thread. I feel Thread is overflogging what X is doing. So you see, subscription base goes high, but in terms of engagement, you see that there's very little engagement. I don't have the statistics right now, but I mean, when Thread came out, you know, it's within 3 days, it surpassed about 500 million subscribers, right? But I have a Thread account. I could only go there maybe once or twice a week. And I know that there are a few other people like that. There's some people who go there deliberately to engage. But if you're going to come up with Synthem, you need to be sure that, first of all, you're getting your market right. Now, TikTok came into the space, but we know that TikTok really made impact during COVID. A lot of people started appreciating content during COVID because we're all at home. Data consumption was high. I mean, so TikTok was like the very next thing to, you know, getting rich content across the world. So if you're looking at health, providing health services, then you know that you've already created a niche market for yourself. Look at your demography, look at how you tend to have your operations, you know, and more importantly, for content creators, how best they can thrive on your platform. So I think this would also help. Once they can thrive, definitely you will have viewers come on your platform, will definitely subscribe. So in terms of monetization also for Synthem and the relationship between content creators and their audience, like I said, your demography is very important, where you know that you would really thrive. Africa is a very big market. You come to Africa, we know what the price is. A lot of people don't understand the mystery why Ventolin is very expensive. So you can have content creators who would explain, enlighten people regarding this thing. So yes, that can work for Synthem. Now, I think I'm going to dwell more on sensational news. We see what happens during elections. A lot of people come up with videos, you know, and then you're seeing a lot of guys, Reuters and the likes, coming up with fact-checking. You know, the cable come up with fact-checking to be sure, okay, this BBC also, this video is X number of years, it's not a recent video. So that shows that this video is false. You know, so there's a lot of efforts, you know, by media organizations, mainstream, digital platforms to try and debunk fake news. But unfortunately, we cannot eliminate fake news in totality. But what we try to do is to try and make sure that every form of sensationalism, that's for the mainstream media, every form of sensationalism is checked. They will tell you, first of all, that this information is fake. This is how to debunk fake news. First of all, you look at the time. There are so many platforms where you can actually, from text to videos, where you can actually verify if a piece of information is false. Facebook has that metrics, you know. Twitter, I think X also adopted it. They also have that metrics where you can actually post, and there are some other sites where you go to, you just drop your video or you drop the text, and then it will come up with where that text was originally generated from, or where the video was originally generated from. So for you who's consuming information, you need to be deliberate about knowing the kind of information you consume, that information that doesn't have to speak to your emotions, which is very important. You see a video, you see something about mass killing somewhere, and they tell you this happened somewhere in Sokoto or somewhere in Nigeria, and then you take it like that, and then instantly you pick up the video, and then you're sharing it, you're forwarding it on your WhatsApp page. You're also helping them in passing misinformation. So when we get an information or a piece of information, it's very important that we do our own due diligence before spreading that information. So yes, so for sensational news, we can't afford it. We can't afford to play on that aspect. Why? Because a lot of guys on the online space who operate news services, there's what we call clickbait. There's no offense against clickbait, you know, but what is important is that you as a consumer, you should identify what a clickbait is, right? And what is not a clickbait, you know? So for example, you see one information in a blog site, it's important, and you make sure that you do that due diligence by fact checking that information in other platforms, because the truth is that we all have different ways at which we pass our information. But stay with credible brands, platforms is very important. So when you see that a blog site that cannot be authentic, cannot be authenticated, you cannot verify it, you don't stick with that information. You go to credible brands, you know. So that's the only way we can try to manage the trend, because correcting it is saying that there needs to be a law, there needs to be a policy to ensure that anybody who passes fake news. I know the Nigerian government in the last administration tried to do that when they came up with banning the use of Twitter, because they were passing a lot of misinformation. We saw the uproar, we saw the way people went, it was berserk really. But These are the things you do. So even when coming up with such policies, you don't have to come up with draconian policies that would impact the general public. Because a lot of these guys, the fact that you're putting in content on their platforms, they're also getting revenues as well. Right. So I think that also answers the second questions. Now, for a small business, I think that is in the lower part of it. For a small business, I keep telling guys in the PR space and social media marketers that promoting content for a business is the hardest thing you can ever do. Because what do? You sell shoes. The best you can do is come up with prices that are cheap for people to see, or you're doing a promo or something. But trust me, information like how to wear this shoe, 5 ways to wear this shoe, what dress goes with these shoes, right? That's one thing. How to take care of your shoes to last long. These are information that any day I can pick up and go to your Instagram page and watch. I just got myself a suede shoe. How do I manage my suede shoe that it will last me beyond 5-6 years? So for MSMEs, look at what your niche is, what your market is, what are you providing, what services or what goods are you providing. Then don't narrow your content on what you do. Let it be an enlightenment platform. Teach people about things you don't know. That it means that you have to constantly research on what you do. What do you provide? You sell water or you manufacture water. It's important that there is a certain liter of water we should consume every day. Why? To keep our bodies going. So information like this would help you gain attraction, gain influence in the social media space. And as well, the moment you do that, it's very important for you to always put in what you offer so people can actually purchase from you, buy from you, and then also you get your market from the social media space. So I don't know if that is able to answer, the questions so far.
I think that makes sense. I think it has done a good job answering the question. And Anirudh has also sent the link to their website, their LinkedIn page for the company, just in case of other engagements. I've just been told that Anna joined, but we have just reached the end of the session. So maybe let me see. It's 12:13 now. The next session is going to be on finance, actually, to be specific. This was on media in terms of addressing the content creator economy. And with us was Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye, business reporter for West Africa, CNBC. West Africa, CNBC, Africa. If I can just see, I'm trying to see if we can get Miss Anna is here, I think, quickly, right? So that we don't just jump into the next one. But anyway, okay, thank you. Mr. Anirudh has responded in the chat box, if you can see Mr. Akinkunmi, with regards to the healthcare media input that you provided for them. So thank you again, Mr. Akinkunmi Obakeye. That was the session on media addressing the content creator economy. Of course, Mr. Akinkunmi seems like, but he seems to have a lot more to do also with the content creator. He has a lot of knowledge as far as that is concerned, and the content creator economy. We are posting also your LinkedIn page, Mr. Akinkunmi, in case of other questions or any other follow-ups or insights that you may have, or people want to connect and share their thoughts with you. If the team can put it up in the chat box now. Thank you very much, sir. We pause here now, and there's a poll, of course, coming up now for the session we just had now on media. It's good having you, sir. Thank you very much for the insight.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the poll is up now.